Early 90s PC flight sim and hobbyist combat games aren't generally something I feel qualified to speak about. I've never had an interest in these games, even back in the day, and trying to learn early era PC games you aren't actually that interested in can be a challenge. I've given the game a shot though for the channel, but unfortunately after a few hours of playing I never got the hang of actually fighting something, and eventually I decided the game just wasn't worth spending the effort to learn. Instead, we'll look at what it does offer for someone more interested in the title than I am. Dogfight was originally developed by a British company called Vektor Graphics, but it wasn't released until 1993, after the company was acquired by Microprose for the PC, Atari ST, and Amiga. It was known as Air Duel in the United States. Microprose saw quite a bit of success in the 1980s and 90s releasing strategy and simulation style games, and Dogfight fits right into their catalog of the era. Shortly after Dogfight was released, this version of Microprose merged with Spectrum Holobyte and continued to release games, although a core group of programmers left shortly thereafter to join Psygnosis. Dogfight's focused on three modes: a duel mode where you pick the war then battle it out in the skies, a missions mode where you engage in strategy and planning prior to execution, and a what-if mode that pits planes of different eras against each other. What If mode also allows you to fight a larger number of enemies and even another player. One of the more amusing things to look at in Dogfight is the 1993 era multiplayer connection system, either hardwired or through a modem, which was pretty exciting for the time I bet, even if it was probably hard to get working. The game also features a large number of options for graphics, music, difficulty, and flight control. The game does require a keyboard, although for the most part you can use a modern controller, even wireless, to navigate some screens, and for flight and missions quite well. I couldn't get the classic working as the twist function sent the plane spinning too quickly. You'll mostly use the arrow keys to move your cursor and fly, space to fire and select, and G to raise and lower your gear. As with most Microprose games of the era, Dogfight features an extensive user manual, somewhat hard to find, but available online, and something I'll link to in the video description. The manual gives you a much better sense of how to actually control the game and succeed at the missions. Ultimately, I found the gameplay to be slow and chuggy, and I had a hard time ever actually engaging in combat. I'd frequently find myself turning steeply to try to get behind the enemy, chasing a small green X around the screen. That's not to say Dogfight's a bad game, just perhaps one tough to get introduced to in 2022. If you did play Dogfight back in the day, its inclusion on the VCS along with other Microprose games is probably a treat, and the game seems to play and run fine. I'd love to know if it were actually possible to get a two-player Dogfight going. It doesn't seem likely, but that would definitely make for a pretty fun experience. Dogfight is $6.99, doesn't include a manual, and isn't really something you can approach cold and start playing. It's a hard sell, and maybe a title to pass on unless you've got a history with it from back in the day. Thanks for watching. I'll have more videos in the coming weeks, including a look at Heroes of Loot, Atari's 50th Anniversary Collection, and more. Liking really helps the channel, and subscribing gets these videos in your feed. Have fun!